If you've been playing Star Citizen for a while, you may have become a little numb to certain aspects of the game. And if you're new or interested in Star Citizen, you might be curious what a new player thinks about it. So this week, we interview a new player, get his thoughts on the gameplay, bugs, ship purchases, CIG's development, being part of an organization, and a lot more. Okay, well, I'm just going to use Netsmage because that's your name that people are going to see in the game and stuff. And I picked you because I was really impressed, and it reminded me when you first joined a little while back, just your overall excitement, about the game and what you saw. And it just kind of took me back to a couple of years ago. And it got me thinking that, people that have been in the game for a while, maybe they even have just been here for a couple years, maybe not long-term backers, maybe only been here a couple years, they become maybe a little numb to some of the coolness, and some of the newness of the game and all that. So I thought it'd be kind of nice to hear your perspective. And you seem like a really kind of fun guy. We've hooked up a couple times in the game, with the org and all that. So I just kind of wanted to go through it and ask you some questions about the game, your experience and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, I mean, I am very much infatuated with this game. It's a beautiful game, obviously visually, but what they're actually trying to accomplish in this game, and I do believe that they'll get there. It's just going to take time. I think that it's going to be unrivaled by anything that's out there, and I wish we would get there faster, but
sure.
Obviously I just got to be patient. But no, I mean this game is phenomenal. I think I've only been playing since when I looked at my original purchase, I think it was February 28th or 29th. So I haven't been playing for very long. But
okay, so you got about 2.5 months in the game at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, 2.5 months, somewhere. But I mean, I've been playing religiously every day.
Fantastic. So, with your name in general, just to kind of get a couple things going, I'm always curious about people and their handles, whatever their call sign is. So is there any lore behind your name that we need to know about?
It's a composition of two things, actually. Yeah. I don't ever really think about it. It's just so old that I'm like, it's just something that I stuck with. But Nets is actually from .net. Back when my alias was .net, I was in a competitive Quake clan, and all of our aliases in game, our clan name, we were all essentially .org, .net, .edu, .gov, .com. That was our names, and so I was .net, just period net.
Oh, okay.
And so,
I see.
And then so later on, when I was playing a different game, it was a mage. I think it was a sorcerer or something like that. I can't remember what game it was, but it was a caster. And so it was a mage. So I just kind of adopted Net's mage.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah, I'm always curious about that and how that comes about,
Yeah, so there was real meaning behind it. I just don't ever think about it anymore.
Gotcha. So I'm going to reel time back here a little bit. So how did you hear about Star Citizen? How did you even know that this game was out there?
A coworker actually mentioned it. We were playing Space Engineers together, and we were essentially just having fun in Space Engineers, and I went from one buggy game to another.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because, something like Space Engineers, that's on Steam. It's got some different publicity other than Star Citizen.
Yeah. It was literally just word of mouth. So we're both software engineers, so, we're fellow nerds, and so that's just, I don't know.
Gotcha.
Just from one nerd to another.
Okay, so he tells you about this game, and what I'd like to know then, so what got you interested? What did he tell you that got you personally interested in it then?
Well, so the the thing that he told me about was kind of the size and scale of the game. And he didn't really give me much more than, well, here's this game, I've heard of it, it sounds really cool, go check it out. And that's really all I got was, oh, I've played this game and it was riddled with bugs and it had all these issues, and I could see how if that comment was from several years ago, I could see how that would be true, right? Being as I've only been playing since 3.8 touch. But yeah, I mean, it was literally, that's all I knew about it. And then I went and I looked at the game, and I was just, as soon as I saw the graphics in the game, I was blown away at the level of detail. When you hold F and you zoom in and you look at a bolt, and you can see like some of the arc welds around some of the bolts and stuff like that, and just the never-ending level of detail on almost everything. I'm not talking about the JPEG in the center of the, the gap, the verse.
Yeah.
They got to do something about that, but they're working on it. But no, I mean, just I find it very hard to be pulled in by a game if it's not somewhat visually or aesthetically pleasing.
I get you. And I guess, with games we've gotten more used to kind of a higher fidelity of graphics. So, when you first got in, you were like immediately like, ooh, wow, look at this, right?
Oh yeah. And then I went in that time frame, I went from, like a 1080 to a 2080 Ti, and I went from a 2K resolution to a 4K resolution, and with everything completely maxed out. And also like 3.9 brought some optimization, server side, right? So obviously the benefit and the gain or yield to us client side is we have a slightly higher frame rate everywhere. But also that came from just a slightly better card. But yeah, going from 2K to 4K, the game just gets better. And I mean, I'm on yellow right now and a mole, and just the level of detail, like the water droplets as it hits the windscreen and it kind of rolls off of it, and
yeah, they just keep adding more and more, like the weather effects and everything. So
yeah, and then that came from 3.8 to 3.9, right? Mm-hmm. Like it was just, I mean, it's just one thing after another, and
sure.
And then we have the eating, like the level of realism that they're trying to add for the eating. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of scared when they add toilets with wiping. I mean, how real is that going to be?
Yeah, well, you're actually kind of leading, I think, into one of my next questions. So I think it's even evolved, even the short period of time that I think you've played. So, coming in, you clearly need to buy a ship and all like that. It's a Kickstarter type project. So it sounds more like you were interested in the game as a game to play, as opposed to hearing, oh, here's this Kickstarter project, I want to fund the progress of this future. I mean, which would you say was kind of the more driving force for you, to kind of support a development effort or to play the game?
Well, both. Being a senior software engineer myself, I appreciate the level of effort and detail that's going in to this game. So there's that,
Yeah.
But it's also, it is and it is not a game. This is not something that I would say, hey, go spend $45 on and jump in, right? I would be like, oh, and by the way, if you're going to do that, here are all these things that you need to be ready for. And if you don't have the mental fortitude to figure out how to work around some of these issues and understand that it's still alpha. I understand it's been an alpha forever, but I mean,
right. So you think people need to kind of do their research for jumping in here?
I think it would be advantageous, yes.
Sure. So
I would not give anyone just a blind invite and be like, have it as a joke, maybe, like have fun.
Right. So when you first jumped in here, what was your beginning ship?
The Aurora.
The Aurora MR. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And how quickly did you trade that out? Because you just mentioned you're in a mole, so you've gone several layers, I think. So what was the ship progression there for you?
Oh gosh, it's been too quick.
Right.
Realistically, went too fast. from an Aura to a Cutlass Black, from a Cutlass Black to a couple of smaller. What are those? The little the motorcycles, the space bikes, like the Nox and the Dragonfly. Couldn't remember.
Okay, yeah.
And then to a Prospector, right?
Ah,
and then,
the lovely Prospector for mining.
Yes, which is actually my 10-year-old son was flying it earlier, and I actually showed him the ropes, and off he went. And he didn't blow anything up on himself. Like, he was actually like a 10-year-old. I showed him the basics, and he got it. But
nice. Okay.
Yeah, and then from that to a mole, it's just up, and it just.
So how many ships? How many ships?
Bad.
How many ships have you actually bought at this point? Like, do you have in your hangar? I realize you probably upgraded, traded in, melted, and rebought. But how many of you do you actually own right now?
Oh God, Merchantman, Defender, a Merchantman, Banner Defender, a Glaive, a Blade, Cartual.
Oh wow! So you've really gone in and gotten some of these even future ships that aren't flyable and all that.
Yeah, Carrick.
Oh wow! Okay, all right.
Prowler.
So you have quite the fleet already, and you've only been here a little over 2 months. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's just the reason for the Merchantman is because it is so inexpensive right now compared to what it will be, right?
Well, that's true. I've heard that. Yeah.
So having a little bit of foresight here, considering the size of the Carrick and its price, and then the size of the Banning Merchantman, right, and its price, it's going to go up. So, especially with all the utilitarian aspects that it brings with it. So, that was just kind of a future investment.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, and then I know that the Glaive is riddled with bugs right now. Oh my gosh, if you get touched with anything because of the shield holes, you lose like a wing. But it's so fun to play, especially in 3.9 now, where they've greatly reduced the desync. With fixed weapons, it's like a challenge. Go and try and do that with fixed weapons on 2 size 5 cannons on the Glaive, and try and do a claim jumper without getting touched, because you're like a piece of paper cloth, and see if you can complete it with everything still intact.
Gotcha.
It's a challenge, and it's fun.
Yeah. So would you? Obviously you've bought these things. Do you consider it money well spent, at least from your perspective right now?
I think that's perspective. I think that's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder type of thing, right? Okay. So for me, yes. A little bit of doubt and hesitation is like seeing the recent roadmap and 3/4 of the items actually being removed from it. Like stuff like that makes me a little hesitant, but it's too late. I already jumped in.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you've done kind of a variety of things in the game. I mean, just in broad spectrum, what kind of things have you done? Yeah, I guess you've done some cargo runnings. It sounds like you've done some combat, obviously some mining. Is there any kind of other stuff that you've done in the game?
Yeah, I've for the most part done it all. Prison system, I try and avoid. Just not for me. Like, I obviously don't want to do the lawless thing in general. So, cargo hauling, I actually like cargo hauling. I think it's like there's that risk. Sorry, my chair. That's like that risk reward, because if you were to take away the 30K, right? Throw that away, and it's like, you know what? The servers are rock solid. They're stable. There's a huge risk because everyone knows about the lucrative trade routes. So guess what? There's going to be people out there looking for you that are trading.
Right.
So when you load up a Caterpillar with 400K or whatever, and you're taking off, there's that kind of like, it's like, ooh, gotta go. You can't just be complacent, because if you are, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. So cargo, I like cargo hauling. I think it's fun. I wish I could do it. I just can't.
Sure. Sure.
Mining is mining is probably my most fun thing to do. Like last night, I messed around and I was just going for like, I was actually trying for a 100% run. I was trying to get 100% of everything. And then I started compromising. It was like, well, I don't want to turn down 90% pure grecium of a rock that's 300 mass, right? So, and then at the end of the night, I was like, I'm tired.
I saw some of the runs you had posted, and I assume they were in the mole because there was
200K and up.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that's
one of
really
them was 10
bacon.
minutes. I kid you not, it was like 212K, 10 minutes. I flew in to Yella, Quantum in. I flew straight down and I saw a bunch of rocks. I went straight towards it, all Quantanium. Broke it all down ahead of time, sucked it up, and boom, 10 minutes, like 212K.
Yeah, sometimes but that was a lucky run. That's not the average. I remember
it's not repeatable. No.
You posted that like this is not normal. This is just
no, exactly. Yeah, but it was like on average, you should be able to turn out 90 to 120K on average
in the mole.
In the mole, yeah, in the mole.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'd say my average is a little less than that in the prospector, but I'm not too picky. I just take good ores at high percentage, even if it's just gold, something like that. It's 100%. I take it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, 100% is like if I'm just trying to fill up at the very end, I'll take even if it's corundum and I'm ready to go turn in. Yeah, I'll turn and grab pretty much anything around me.
Gotcha. So a little bit of a different question here. So how much interest, and I think I kind of know this answer, but I want to hear it from you. How much interest do you have in following the game, like things outside of the game, getting your hands on as much information as possible outside of the, in other areas, whether it be, Spectrum, YouTube, whatever it happens to be? Do you have are you kind of, it seems like you're really into it. So are you kind of following all the news and information?
Yeah, so I definitely follow. I follow pretty much all the news that I can, whether that's Reddit or your YouTube channels for one. Like the way that you actually put together your content is very easy to follow for anyone. So then there's another one. I don't want to say their names, but there's a couple of other YouTubers
that's fine. I don't mind.
that I
go
follow.
Ahead. Go ahead and promote these guys. They all work hard. I don't mind at all.
Yeah, but yes, I try and follow the news. There's definitely a lot of negative Nancy's out there that I try and stay away because they don't they just don't, like, I've been doing this for almost 10 consecutive years now. This is all I do. I live, eat, and breathe software development, and they just don't get how complex this stuff is, especially when they are taking game engines and gutting it fundamentally and rewriting it so that way they can get it to work the way they need it to, and then they're building all this technology on top of it. Like, they just don't get the size scale of this project. And when you get, let's just say, of the 550, 600 employees, you get 250, engineers who are all putting their hands in a very common pot. There's so much that can go wrong. The fact that they've been doing as good as they have been, people need to give them more credit.
Yeah, so it sounds like you really appreciate what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I definitely try and stay up with the news. Like, for example, there's a lot of hidden things that happen. There's a lot of game mechanics that aren't really publicized that you don't really get unless you're following the community. So, or unless you watch your videos or something like that, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, and it, you're talking about like following stuff outside. It also sounds like you, maybe for one reason or another, maybe it's just because the development aspect, but it seems like you are gravitating less to kind of the salty, away from the salty stuff and into just more information, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very much so.
That's fair. Well, there's a lot of people that kind of just want to hear the bites, hear the salt out there and kind of get a little, worked up from that. But, there's something out there for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, if they want that, that's fine.
So you're in the Read org, and this is kind of interesting question. Do you find yourself playing more solo or more with the org?
Well, if I want to get killed by a crash combat landing by Nubkins, I play with the org. If I want to be constantly knocked out in my seat while I'm flying the mole by Geeky, then I play with the org. But no, I very much love playing with other people because the game is too big to play by yourself, to be a hermit and play in this big world. Like, it's not maintainable. It's not sustainable. When this game launches, if you want to continue to operate a large ship, you're going to need help. And if you want to do it by yourself, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the amount of just effort that you're going to have to put towards maintaining all these ships and keeping them operational and manning them with AI and all this other stuff, like, it's going to be a lot. So you're going to need people to play with. It's like a quality of life improvement. It's just, just because I can lift a washer that's 400 pounds and throw it on my shoulder doesn't mean that I have to. I can get someone else to help me lift it, right?
Sure. And you actually stated that really interestingly, that the game is too big to play by yourself. I haven't really heard it put that way, but I really like that.
Yeah, it's they're giving us a taste, right? Like Pyro's coming in. And after Pyro comes in, and then because right now what they're doing is they're measuring all the metrics that's being, all the data is giving them metrics. And these metrics tell them how far to scale and push things. Like, for example, they know that quantum fuel doesn't cost what it should. So later on when the game releases, quantum fuel is going to be a lot more expensive. That's why they're giving us ways to mine it. There's going to be a refinery process and everything else, right?
Sure.
So when they add other expansions to the verse, there's going to be way too much to do and cover by yourself.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's times when you like to get on and kind of do your own thing, but if I'm hearing you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, you do sort of enjoy that group play, and that's at least equal to doing things, just kind of doing your own thing, right? Yes? No?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay. I don't want to slate it too much one way or the other, but it sounded like you were really enjoying the, doing things with other people as well as, doing your own thing sometimes.
No, I mean, who else am I going to laugh with when, we both run into an elevator to, like, Geeky and I were doing a Quantanium run, and we land in New Babbage, and we run out of the ship, and we, land on the side of the 3 domes, and we run up the snow platform, and we go inside, and we run into the elevator, and we both hit the button, and we both run inside, and we turn around as the doors close on us, and we don't have any buttons on the inside of the elevator, right? And then Chekhov happened to be running directly behind us, and he was able to, he had buttons. Like, you don't get that by yourself.
Right. So when you're with the org and you're doing gameplay, what are you generally doing?
I like to do something that's seemingly profitable, and the only reason I say that is because I am trying to get. I would like to save up for the Hammerhead. I know that there's going to be, persistence wipes and stuff like that, but it's kind of just like I'm a completionist, and I would like to that's what I have my mindset on right now.
It's a goal.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you need to have goals in the game. I understand that. And when you're by yourself, what do you find yourself doing? Is that mining?
Yeah, I very much like mining. So I solo mine in the mole a lot, and it's actually really easy when you figure out how to position the mole in a way so that way you can actually see down correctly. There's not all this repositioning that everyone else talks about.
Yeah,
so
it does take a little getting used to, and it's definitely doable, but the ship itself, it feels like you're alone in a ship.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because the ship has that feel of like, okay, it feels like other people should be here, but it's definitely a doable thing. It's
a multi-crew ship. Yeah. Like, for example, I use my son's character, Brown Understains, right? And I put him in an arm, and I'll jump down in the front laser, and I'll dual box between those two. But just because I can do that doesn't mean I want to. I just kind of do it when there's no one on, and it's like, well, I'd like to make my life a little bit harder. So
this big ship.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's not an easy way to play the game at all. Constantly tabbing back and forth between windows, and no, it's not.
Sure, you got this big ship. You might as well use the bigger cargo capacity and go get it, right? Well, especially with the Helix.
Exactly.
That's another one of these game balance things. I mean, right now you only really need the one laser to mine almost anything, so it's a much more doable thing than what they might have in the future.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know that they'll rebalance all that, because I mean, there's 5 or 6 different lasers, right? There's no rhyme or reason. Like the Lancet is supposed to give a slightly better reduction to the instability than the Helix, 20%, right? But there's really no other benefit outside of that. It doesn't give you a better optimal charge window range or any. Like, it's just, I mean, there's very little benefits to the other lasers. So yeah, the Helix is definitely king of the hill right now.
Yeah, and with the consumables, that probably just seals the deal with that guy.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about the missing elevator panel and stuff. So everyone says when there's a bug, that kind of the response is it's in alpha, and that's the general response for a lot of things. So what do you feel? Over the last couple of months here, what do you feel is the most frustrating thing in the game? Like what does frustrate you about it right now?
Definitely 30Ks. Definitely 30Ks. That's probably, I can be stuck in an elevator all day. Yeah, definitely 30Ks, because there's nothing more frustrating than doing anything. I mean, I'm talking about loading a Carrack with some ships just to go and play around on Microtech and just, drive around on, in some of the pretty scenery and just enjoy the game. And you're loading up vehicles, and at 30Ks, and you were loading up your second or third vehicle, and you lose. Like, that is by far the most frustrating thing.
I hear you.
So that's literally it. If they could fix that, they could give me back desync and take away the 30Ks, and I would be fine with that.
That's a trade. You would take that trade.
Yes. Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah. So if you could make anything sort of magically happen right now in the game, and that's a really broad statement, like, what would you change if you could just do it, like snap your fingers, do it right now, other than the 30K and fixing that?
Man, that's not fair, because that's like having a genie and only 3 wishes, right?
Yeah, but you only get 1. It's even worse.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. If I could change anything in the game right now.
I'm kind of asking you, it's also making you mentally prioritize, I realize also.
Yeah. Honestly, I would add the next big item in there, which is, if I could add anything that I feel is missing, and I know it's being worked on, is salvaging. 100% salvaging, just because it's an expansion on mechanics to be tied in with one another, right? Like, you could have friends go out and do claim jumpers, and you could have essentially a reclaimer following back and scooping up all the scrap, breaking it down and selling it, at Port Olisar or however the refinery process is going to work. So, and then that's another source of grinding income in the game.
Yeah, it's another career.
Exactly, and that's just one, and that's just one avenue, right?
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I think salvaging is going to be a very, very, very big part of the. Oh God, I wish I could take it back. No, outpost. Give us the ability to build outposts, so that way we can populate. That's what I would. Yeah, I'm sorry. Keep salvaging. Table that.
Okay.
Outposts. Give us the ability to actually create our own towns and civilizations and stuff like that. Even if it's only small little, FOBs, forward operating bases.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Sorry, I'm talking to my son.
No. I was about to say I didn't do anything.
Sorry, no, my son he's controlling my account. But yeah, definitely give us the ability to create small little outposts and hubs. I think that and they don't have to add anything more that's already there. Give us the existing terminals to spawn ships and vehicles that are appropriate for the places where they're being built, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Give us the ability to sell mined material, as well as obviously trading as well. I'm not asking for replacement that would supersede new Babbage or anything like that, but that way people and organizations like Reed, we could have our own place that we could call home. Right?
So you want your own outpost that has similar capabilities, maybe at least a start of what they have now at Outposts.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
To me, that's that. If I could pick that above anything else right now, it would be that.
Gotcha.
Because that is what I love about space engineers is you could go anywhere and you could create a base anywhere and you could call that home.
Gotcha. Now
that flexibility was what really just, I was like, man, this is amazing.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll make a little correlation here with something like space engineer. So does it take anything away from you? If that's your genie wish there, does it take anything away the fact that CIG, at least right now, doesn't look like they're going to have sort of the builder game mechanics, but instead they've got the Pioneer, which is this giant ship that's going to come in, sit down, and kind of manufacture, I guess, maybe a little bit of a made-to-order thing. Is that still fine? Is that still good?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's essentially it's going to sit down and poop out bases. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
and you're good with that. You're good with that. All
right. It is. Yeah. However it excretes or produces or,
excrete, I like that word.
I mean, however it comes through fruition, right?
Right.
As long as it happens, I mean, because wouldn't that be so cool if we were able to organize the way that the base was like the way that it looked. I mean, just they're gonna have these customization aspects to these bases, however limited, I understand that, but they're gonna be customizable in some small ways, just so that way we could call it home, and it gives us something to defend as well.
Yeah,
there's
right.
there's that risk reward, right? The reward is we have this place we call home. The risk factor is, we have to maintain that home, we have to protect that home. So have the buildings have a diminishing return aspect on them, so that way you can't just have an object sitting out there that's being maintained by the server that no one has to be responsible for, right?
Sure. You just see it opening up all kinds of things. Some of the I guess PvP that might happen around that, resources that need to get consumed by the base, just the whole thing. I can see why you like that.
Exactly. They put the Prowler in there for stealth dropships, right?
Right.
I mean, what better thing for people to do? I know that we're not for that, but I'm just saying, if someone was trying to drop a Prowler in your base and you couldn't detect them until they were actually within visual view, and then they're dropping, 15, 20 people are piling out of the side, like they're inside they've already passed the anti-air guns, right? They're in your base already. Like stuff like that, that's cool to me that we would have to defend it. I would hate it if we lost everything, but
yeah, okay.
And I would blame Geeky, but yeah, I mean,
sure. Well, we all can blame Geeky. That's good. Either that or Nebkins, one or the other,
Yeah.
All right. So you talked about the 30K, it being your most frustrating thing, and you also said that you were into IT, into software development. So is there anything that you feel CIG has done very right in the course of this game development?
I mean, you're asking for a premature judgment, honestly. I mean, 3 months isn't enough to really have perspective to contrast it against.
That's fair.
To previous development cycles. But seeing how they did 3.8 to 3.9, but not seeing the inner workings of how they're actually deploying these things, I don't know, like their deployment cycles, their deployment processes, everything like that. It could be archaic, or it could be, I very much doubt that it's a one-click deploy solution. But what I think they have done right, I have seen them at least, in a way, try and give the community everything that they've been promising. I have seen that.
As slow as it may be, you think that they're coming through with their promises.
Yes, yeah. And like, to give an example, right? From 3.8 to 3.9, I personally don't remember seeing anything in there about all the texture pack updates that they applied kind of across the board to all ship. The Carrack was touched, the Mole was touched, right?
Right.
Like
right.
things look a little bit different, a little bit more detail here. The Carrack is a little bit dirtier in places.
Yeah, they repainted the Prospector a little bit.
Right? So they're doing a lot of things that we're not seeing in the patch notes, which means that they're doing a lot. And obviously, like if I was to include everything that's in our builds that go out to the clients, like it would be just huge walls of like pages of pages, you know, of patch notes. So
yeah, no, I hear you.
The fact that they're actually doing all these things, and we're seeing a lot of changes that aren't officially recognized in the patch notes, tells us that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And I know that they're trying to juggle between Squadron 42 and you know, Star Citizen, but I think that they're doing okay. I think that they're doing all right as far as the way development is unfolding.
Gotcha. From again, kind of from that developer standpoint, because you do have that background. Is there anything on the opposite end? Like, are you feeling like they're doing anything very wrong?
I don't. No.
That's fair.
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
I don't believe so.
And you might, like you said, you might need more time with the game and seeing the development to be able to even make that kind of assessment, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is just because I've been doing this for, 10 years now, doesn't mean that the way that I have worked in the companies where I've worked in the development teams and the development cycles and everything is the way that they're doing it, right? There are so many ways to do things in software development. It's crazy. So with that being said, I have no idea how they're doing things behind the scenes. I really don't.
Gotcha.
So I always have to lean and give them the benefit of the doubt, but I haven't seen anything come from them so far that's scared me to where I want to, file a fake claim on my credit card being stolen and like get refunds back
Gotcha.
or something like that.
It's not a scam for you just yet, right? As they say.
Yeah, I know. There's so much behind that I don't quite fully understand.
I get it. I'm
why he would write that on a board.
I'm going to use your 10-year mark that you kind of put out there. That you've kind of been involved for 10 years. With things. With this game, with different games, I've had very long interests for myself. I had some very short interests with things. Do you still see yourself interested in this game, assuming they continue, right? Assuming it continues on like we've talked about. Do you see yourself still interested 10 years from now in wanting to play this game?
As much as I want to say, if they do X and if Y happens and, essentially if all these unfavorable things happen to the game and they change like a lot of core fundamentals and stuff like that, as much as I want to say, even if they do those things that I probably won't play it, I think that there's so much plan that there will be capable of doing in the game to hold people over for years upon years upon years. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a game to set roots in that, and I feel like I came in at a good time, actually, having skipped all the foundation that they've been laying here in the earlier days. But yeah, no, I think I'll be playing this game for a very long time. Okay. And I honestly think that this game is going to be here for a decade.
Gotcha. Well, I think we're probably, pretty easily we can say we're looking at a few years of still just core gameplay to be implemented. So I think we've got a few years toward that 10 years just in that, like you said, the salvage or the the fuel mining, just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if we saw a beta release in 2022 or something like that, I would be surprised. But yeah. But you know what? I take this back. One of the things that I was really blown away by this, that the shield technology rework that they had planned, and they've had planned for a long time now, and it was in development, that they push off for VFX purposes, which means essentially they're trying to get people to get the animations to look right for all the ships and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They have the mechanics in places, and they're just trying to put the polish on it. The things that make the ships look right when they're taking damage with this new shield rework, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they pushed that off when there is so many documented cases of the shield holes that are plaguing the ability for combat play, they literally disables, like the glaive I was telling you about. Its wings protrude outside of the shield, outside of the shield wells. The only thing that has just, I looked at it and I was like, I would have never done that, is they pushed forward, making oceans prettier, and pulled back for visual aesthetic purposes. And again, I don't know if this is true or not, but that's the way, when I see VFX, it's like, couldn't do this because the VFX team was overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They pulled back on the shield tech for that. It's like, we can't do anything with the oceans. They currently serve no purpose. They kill you if you go in them. Who cares if they look any pretty? They already look amazing now.
Okay.
I don't need to see my teeth in a reflection for VoIP, for FOIP, to see my face in the in an ocean that will kill me if I step in it.
Right.
So the shield work being pulled out of that was the only thing that I said to myself. I was like, I would have never have done that.
Gotcha.
Because
you would have liked to see like the tech go in, at least in whatever state it was, and then let them iterate on that, right?
Again, I'm talking out of my butt here about how things are done behind the scenes, but give everyone a blanket statement or a blanket cookie cutter template animation that's applied when shields take damage, right? It could be pink and shoot rainbow sparks off the side of it. No one would care because they would work. If they fixed the shield holes, everyone would be like, I'd be fine with the sparkle party,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But the fact that we have all these glaring shield holes now that make ships inoperable as a whole, like the Andromeda, and there's, like that was the biggest thing to me that I did not agree with. It was probably the only thing so far that I did not agree with.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more things that fall into that category, but I get that for at least right now. You saw that and you're like, what's up with that? Okay, that's fair though.
Yeah.
I mean, you see something and you're like, I don't get it. I've got just one last question. It's kind of a very general one. So, this game has a lot of different aspects to it. There's going to be economics, there's some combat, it's PvE, it's PvP, there's a lot of different things and more things to come. So how would, at least right now, just from what you've heard, from what you've experienced, how would you categorize this game? I mean, if you were to explain it to somebody else, what is it?
Oh, I mean, it's a PvX game, right? It's got PvE, PvP, and it's mixed. There's no real separation between the two. I mean, there's the PvE line, and then there's the PvP line. But I mean, it is an agnostic game in the sense that it doesn't care. Like there's game loops there for both sides to partake in, if you want to haul cargo or if you want to steal it from the people that are running the cargo, right?
Sure.
So it's not quite an MMO yet.
Okay.
It will be. I have the utmost faith that this will be a full-blown MMO with a dynamic economy that hopefully can't be monopolized by reverse engineering the actual AI mechanics of their self-sustained balancing systems of how they keep things from being monopolized.
Gotcha.
So, as that's been done in previous games before.
Do you think it has the potential to wind up? I mean, people have said that this is probably going to be the next gold standard for other games. Do you think that's true? I'm asking the tough questions, but hey, that's how it goes here.
It very much could be, but then again, you know, there's been a lot of games that have had that potential. A lot of games. And they just slipped through their fingers.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't like an accident. It's not like, oh, they were trying to like hold, you know, it's just like they dropped the ball hard. So there's been a lot of games that have been like this, but I will say this. Of all the games that have really grabbed me, that I was like, man, this is, I want to invest time in this game. This is the one that has actually like got me to fork out serious cash for it. Right?
Well, that says a lot, yeah, when you reach into your pocket.
Within a 2-month or 2.5-month period, you know, I'm almost $4,000 invested, right?
Oh, I wasn't going to ask that question because I was afraid what the answer was after I heard how many ships. But that's good.
No, I'm not worried about that. That's fine. You know.
Yeah, no,
yeah. I'm not going for any of those. What are those like the gold 600i for $25,000? That's
oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know.
But no, I hear what you're saying. That you reached into your back pocket, and that speaks volumes right there.
Yeah, the fact that I was willing to do that, right? When you know the 3080 Ti's are right around the corner.
Yeah.
So,
I just saw
but no, yeah, it's I think that this game is going to be here for a long time. I have faith that they will get this actually developed like they say it will. I know that there's going to be compromises made along the way because I have to do it all the time, even if I don't want to. It's just the nature of the beast, you know.
Sure.
As my dad always said, you got want in one hand and you got the other. Which one fills up faster, right?
I hear you.
So,
well, hey, Nets, you know, I really appreciate you coming on here, giving me kind of that newer player view, but also someone that has spent some time in the game and has had some investment in it. So it's not only new, but you've had, I think, just enough to be able to have some opinions about things, which I think is really great. And this has been great. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you picking me, honestly. I mean, I think that I have just enough of experience level or exposure, like you said, to have at least some form or resemblance of an educated, you know, decision or statement. So.
All right, super.
Yeah.
Well, hey, with that, you know, we're going to close it out, and I'll see you in the verse.
All right, thanks.
The
See you there.
members of the Reed organization are being extremely generous again and have donated an Aurora MR with game package for a giveaway. Reed is involved with science, exploration, and engineering, which includes the mining mechanics that we currently have, as well as future salvage. They are also involved in trade and logistics and have a defense division to keep your mining and cargo hauling safe. Reed is a non-griefing or trolling organization that focuses on collaboration and emphasizes mutual respect for its org members and the community at large. To be eligible to win, just type in a comment to the video. Like and subscribe if you want to. Feel free to use my referral code if you're wanting to get into Star Citizen, and I'll be talking to you later.